Hello, Trailblazers. Welcome to yet another edition of Entrepreneur Journey, and I am super pleased to have April Corbett, and that's how you say your last name, right? Corbett?
Yeah, it's Corbett.
All right, awesome. I sometimes forget to ask the guest, and their last name is not pronounced the way I say it, and I look silly. So,
Names are tough.
but I am super glad to have you, April. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Yeah, well, I work with women entrepreneurs typically. Sometimes they're not entrepreneurs, but they already have that little bit of a inkling to be entrepreneurs. I'm Canadian. I'm from the west coast of Canada. I'm currently living in Mexico for the winter, which I highly recommend for everybody. What else do you want to know?
Well, we're going to dive into some questions, some silly, maybe a little bit of silly questions in the beginning. But then we're going to dive into your entrepreneur journey, how you got started, where you are now, and then we're going to get some questions around your expertise. So without further ado, let's start off with Mexico. How is Mexico?
Oh, it's so great. I don't know why I haven't been doing this every year for the last 6 years. I don't know what I was thinking. I think I was thinking about it, and then I made it harder, as we often do with things, than it actually was. So it's going really well. I'm loving it. Yeah.
Nice. Now, prior to going to Mexico, had you ever been anywhere subtropical, like Florida or places like that?
Not so much in the US, but I've been to Mexico many, many times.
Okay.
I love Mexico. I've also been to the Arctic Circle. So,
Wow.
Yeah.
That is not on my bucket list. I don't think I'm going to add it either, even though I think part of it would be cool. Alaska, maybe.
Yeah.
I'd like to
Well,
go to
Northern
Alaska.
Lights are something to see.
Yeah, that's true. I always want to go. I want to go. I've never been whale watching, and I know you can even go to Northern California and see whales.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. There's a lot of that here too.
Yeah. Off of Mexico coast. Maybe I just need to go to Mexico and
maybe you just need to go.
avoid the cold.
Everybody needs to.
Nice.
Yeah.
So here's a silly question. If you had an intro song, what would that intro song be?
I'm totally going to date myself because this song came out in 1983. I don't know how old you are, but
I was alive.
I was alive. Thank you for that. Break My Stride by, I think it's Matthew Witter, I think is his last name. And it's a little thing that I recite in my head every time I come up against an obstacle. I remind myself that, nothing breaks my stride. So the only thing that breaks my stride is me. So
Nice.
That's one of the reasons I love that song.
I want to think that I remember the song. It kind of goes, "Ain't nothing gonna break my stride,
Yep.
Nothing gonna slow me down. Oh no, oh no." Yeah, that song.
Yeah.
I even think that might have been remade, or at least the music was used.
It was remade in 2004, but the original was 1983, I believe.
Nice.
Yeah.
I do like that song, and that's a nice memory for me because I was old enough to enjoy music too. So.
Nice. Oh, well, then I don't feel so old. Thanks.
Yeah.
I never feel old, just as a sort of caveat, but I like to joke about it.
Yeah. So what makes you laugh the most out of anything?
Oh my God. Well, two things really. Dogs are the funniest creatures on earth, I believe. And you know what, really, even closer to my heart, my best girlfriends. When we just get together and we just be silly and have fun, they make me laugh the hardest, for sure.
Definitely. Friends can definitely be a nice way to laugh and relieve stress. As entrepreneurs, that's important that we also are social. And we have time.
Absolutely.
And we get stress relief.
Yes.
Nice. Now, talking about stress, what are your two biggest pet peeves? Maybe not the biggest, but what are two of them?
Well, I think these two are kind of the same. Gossip and drama. Makes me crazy. It's just big time wasters. And the next one, because it's so involved in what I do in my work, is negative self-talk. When people talk themselves down from where they should be as a human, it makes me nuts, which is why I work with those people so that I can support them to not do that.
I think one of our follow-up questions later on is going to delve into that. So that's pretty awesome. All right, so let's talk about your entrepreneur journey, like where you started at, how you got to where you are now, and kind of like fill in the blanks in the middle.
Yeah. Well, I think I'm an entrepreneur more out of necessity than out of a need or a want or a desire, or maybe I always had it. This is a question I've pondered lots in my life. Are we just born entrepreneurs, or do we create these entrepreneur humans within us? To be perfectly honest, I left home at 15 with a grade 8 education and had to figure out how I was going to support myself. And I did over and over and over again in several different businesses. And then I worked with a bunch of small businesses. I did bookkeeping and accounting and operations and all these really cool jobs. I even worked for the Coast Guard at one time.
Wow.
But the thing that kept coming back to being an entrepreneur was about control. It was about creating what I wanted out of life and on my terms. And actually, that's one of my pet peeves is don't tell me what time lunch is. It's about control for me. So I really wanted to create a life that would work for me. Years past, my last sort of career before I worked online was mortgage brokering. And the reason I went into mortgages was because I thought I could do it remotely. Turns out I couldn't. Took me 10 years to figure out that I couldn't do that. And then I embarked online, I think it was 2017, and I started with an ebook. And then I went from there to affiliate marketing. And then I went from there to consulting, because I had done a lot of business consulting and that I could do remotely. So I did a lot of that. And then I went into coaching. I think I was always a natural sort of mentor, and I don't like to call myself a coach because I'm more of a mentor, but I took a professional coaching program so that I could actually get the training that I needed. And that lands me here. And I love it. I'm fully in control and living in Mexico. So that was the whole purpose. And it took me years to get there.
That is one of the biggest perks of being an entrepreneur, in my opinion, is that you can, especially online, right? You can pack up and go and work from anywhere. As long as you have an internet connection and a laptop, it is awesome. It's not, but there's a lot of people, live the laptop lifestyle. Yeah, it's nice, but there are still, just like any business, ups and downs. So
100%.
It can get crazy. So if you're new and you just think the laptop lifestyle, oh yeah, I want to do that. Yes, there are a lot of great perks to it, but at the same time, you've got to expect the same type of ups and downs as you would in any type of business, because there's going to be challenges. So.
And you have to know how to work through those things before you even try to embark on it, which was one of my sort of, I couldn't have done this 10 years ago, even if I'd been online, because it's all about hacking yourself until you really know what works for you. And I have literally gone from working 7 days a week, 24/7 pretty much, to 3.5 days a week. And so, but that takes a lot of learning and planning and hacking yourself and figuring out, how am I going to make that work? And if all you do is focus on the pretty things, then it's harder to get there.
Yeah, I have to agree. One of the biggest things about when you first become an entrepreneur is learning how to manage your time, right?
100%.
Especially 100%. when you get entrepreneur brain, you want to execute all your ideas all at once.
Yeah. And the ideas never stop. Once you get into that creative and you're like, oh, I could do that and I could do that and I could do that. And that lack of focus will drown you faster than anything.
Yeah. I have a feeling that one of the things that you do is help people with that.
Yeah, 100%. Because there's so many brilliant people out there that cannot get their poop in a group. They've got,
never heard that. I love that.
Streamline it, right? Yeah. And it's really important that you have skills. Skills are great, but you also have to know how to manage your life. And if you have a family, how does that fit in? Like, there are so many moving pieces to any business. And then if you take it online, where it's really can be consuming, you really need to know how to manage your time and hack yourself for that.
Nice. Now let's get into a little bit of your expertise, like we've teased a little bit before. So when I went to your website, one of the first things I see is, what if the obstacles to having wealth, happiness, and abundance are being created by you? Let's unpack that and how we might create our own obstacles.
Yeah, that's all about this. And this is my, over the last 2 years of working with women in business as a business mentor, the biggest thing that came up for me was that I noticed 98% of the time I was working with people and their limiting beliefs. and their survival mechanisms and the ways they self-sabotage. So what I recognized was I could give them all the tools in the world, but they won't implement on them if they have an underlying belief that tells them something that is not conducive to what it is I'm trying to get them to do. So hopefully that made sense. Mm-hmm. So what I do is I dig in with clients and I find out what is stopping them. What is your obstacle? And then once you do that, you start to uncover the stories that we tell ourselves. One exercise I do with my clients right off the hop is for one whole week, I have them write down every message that they're telling themselves every day. You know, we all do it. We all have those little stories in our head where we're like, one of my big ones, honestly, when I first left home with so little education was that I was stupid. And I had been told I was stupid. And once I kind of figured out how to reframe that, it took some time because, of course, I had no one telling me how to do it. I just had to figure it out. Once I got past that, I realized how not stupid I really am, because you know what I mean? So once you get past that, but it stopped me from doing so many things. I graduated high school at the age of 50 and not a GED, high school, because I was so obsessed with this idea that I needed to complete my matriculate as a formal school work, if that makes sense. So I didn't want to just take a GED and kind of fake it. And it was part of my process. So once I learned this process of reframing, I also figured out that my superpower is really hearing the message under the message. Someone will say something to me, and underneath I can hear that belief, and I hear it loud and clear. And then I've just got to work with people until they start to see it. And that's part of that first exercise of writing down what are the messages you're giving yourself. And then we work on reframing those. And the process can be super quick. It can be really quick if people are willing to do the work. It can be really fast to change their mind about something simple. And then all of a sudden, boom, they start making money because it goes hand in hand.
Nice. Yeah. So removing all the junk, right? You can't really grow without first removing all that junk.
Well, you can't make money if you have a limiting belief that says money's bad.
Right.
Right. So if you've got a story, and often we don't even know what those stories are, because 98% of the time we are running on subconscious beliefs. And that means our entire group of choices that we make all day long are made not from here, but from a subconscious level. So we're not even aware we're making them. And until we uncover those and start to repair them, we're not going to move forward.
Yeah, it starts all from your beginning environment, right? Like my daughter thinks she's bad at math because she keeps telling herself she's bad at math because she failed once at math, and then it's just progressed to where she just feels like I'm not good at math. I'm not good at math.
Yeah. Right. And the way to transform that actually is to give her some small wins. Start working with things you already know she can do and start to give her little wins. Oh, honey, look, you got 9 out of 10 on this little quiz. And then this little quiz, because it's a muscle. You have to build it back up. You can't just go from, and I certainly didn't, oh my gosh, I'm stupid, to, oh, I'm brilliant. Your brain doesn't work that way. So you have to hack your brain and retrain it and transform those thoughts into something you can believe. And it's done over little steps.
Awesome. Now, next question I have is, I know from firsthand experience, you're really good at sales because you sold me something. Can you talk about why some coaches struggle when it's time to close a sale?
Yeah, most people struggle in sales there's a couple of big reasons. And I think the biggest one is not believing in what you're selling. When you can truly be believing and convicted about what it is you're selling and you know it works, then that's half the battle right there. But the other part is many of the people that I've worked with have all these hangups around money, and they go into these sales calls thinking, I got to close a sale. I got to do this. That's a place of lack and need. You can't do that. I do this quick little exercise before each sales call, which is just a clearing, so that when I'm meeting with, say, Doug, The last thing I do before I meet Doug on Zoom is, how can I support Doug today? You walk into those sales calls with the idea that you want to help someone. That's congruent to most people's inner belief that they're entrepreneurs because they'll help someone. Taking their money is not congruent to supporting someone in most people's mind. So the quick hack for that is to go into a call knowing that you're going to support them and take the money out of it. The money is just a conduit between the problem and the person with the problem and the solution. That's it. You've got to stop thinking about money as if it's real. I know that sounds crazy, but it's not. It's just an exchange. That's it.
Yeah, I operate the same way. When someone comes onto a sales call with me, it's about, I'm ready to give this person value. I don't even think about the money. You know, I usually wait for them to start to ask me about the money because I'm just here delivering value. Are you ready to move forward?
Are you accepting it or not? That's up to you.
Yeah.
And it certainly simplified the process, but to get past it, you've got to get to the root about what your beliefs around money is. Because if you're doing sales calls, you've got tons of training. I've heard this before in sales circles. Well, then they're just a dud. No, they're not a dud. They have a belief about money and taking it from people. So if you can get to the root of that, once we uncover that and we reframe it and you're convicted in the product, you're a go.
Yeah, it took me a while to get past the whole money thing because my upbringing, money was tight. Money was, you got to keep it.
Yeah, you gotta. Yeah, exactly. Don't spend it. Yeah.
Right. And then when I got to be an adult, I did start reading sales books. Paid close attention to Zig Ziglar, was one of my favorites.
100%.
And slowly my mindset started to change, and now sales calls seem super easy for me. There's no pressure at all.
I don't ever feel pressure on a sales call. Ever. And I literally had someone say to me the other day, well, I don't need the whole shale spiel. And I was like, well, we were messaging and I'm like, well, that's good because I don't actually have one.
Yeah.
I'm here to show you a product. It is either going to improve your business or it's not. That's it. And I'm the same with my coaching clients. This is what I do. This is my personality. If you want to work with me, great. If not, have a great day.
Nice. Something else that I did a little research on you. You talk about being productive versus being busy. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I sure can. And, I'm just going to be honest. I spent a lot of years being busy and because it gives us the illusion of actually accomplishing something. So we make busy all the time. The rule is, I believe, for business, especially if you're a solopreneur, is that you must be spending 80% of your time on money-making activities. So that's enrolling people, selling your product, getting people to follow you, whatever those money-making activities are. Only 20% of your time should be spent on the admin. And we love the admin. Listen, I'm a victim of this. I've redone my website 800 million times. We all fall trapped to this because it's comforting to do something we know how to do. So if we're struggling to bring in money, the first thing you want to do is, again, map your time. 1 week, keep track of what you're doing every hour of every day, and then look at it, analyze it at the end of the week. If 80% of that is not spent in money-making activities, then you need to restructure your calendar. So the next step after that to stay organized is time blocking. I'm pretty structured with my time. And you can say to someone, time block, but if they don't already know what they're doing, that's not helpful. You need to do the first analytical part of it, figure out what you're doing now. And again, I'm a huge proponent of don't go from A to B, do a merge. So you're just going to reblock your calendar slowly. I'm going to spend this much on recruiting new prospects. I'm going to spend this much time on sales calls, and then block out your calendar. And it really will make a huge difference in your bottom line because, of course, if you're spending 80% of your time on money-making activities, you're going to quickly see that you can probably hire an assistant.
I like that you said that at the end because when I think a mental block that people get is that, okay, I'm spending all this time getting the money. right?
Mhm,
When,
mhm.
how am I taking care of the fulfillment? When is the admin get taken? When's the fulfillment get taken care of? The money ends up taking care of that because you can hire people to do the fulfillment and the admin.
It's a huge mistake I see a lot of business people make is that they go out there and they see what everyone else is doing and then they jump in. Oh, I got to have a VA. I got to have an assistant. I got to set up systems. You don't. Until you hit, on your own, on average, depending on your product and your fulfillment side of it, you should be able to hit 10 grand a month without an assistant. It's a little bit harder. Someone like me who only wants to work 3.5 days, it's probably half that before I could get an assistant to get, you know what I mean? So it really is possible to build a business from nothing. This is what the internet has created for us, this massive opportunity. There's lots of systems and things you can buy, but don't go out and spend a ton of money. I mean, I have 2 pieces of software. That's it. And that's not to be braggy and say I'm perfect. I've learned my lessons. You don't need to have multiple pieces of software and systems. Google Drive and a way to get leads is what you need. You need to get leads for your business, whatever it is.
And you can upgrade as you go, right?
100%.
You can upgrade your tools as you go.
And
but you don't need them as you start.
No, you hire someone smarter than you. When you hire your first admin person, make sure they're a specialty in admin. So you don't have to think about that anymore. You're an entrepreneur. You're the creative person.
I want to backtrack a little bit to that question about sales again, because when you were talking about it and something you said jumped out at me, and that is believing in what you're selling, right? Because I have a personal experience. I actually sold insurance for a very brief period of time, and I did not believe in the product. I thought there were so many better products out there as far as insurance. I'm not a big fan of selling insurance in the first place. It's very boring.
I bet.
And that instilled in me at that time a dislike for sales, right? Because I thought, oh, this is so hard. I'm selling this boring product. It's a product I didn't believe in. But when you can attach yourself to once you get your product and you believe in it, sales becomes much easier. So.
Yeah, and that's so, so true. I had a wonderful coach that I hired when I was doing mortgages because I found I had this block. Now, mortgages in Canada are a little bit different than in the US. It's all commission based. I had no idea what I was doing. This is really how I operate. I think this is how most entrepreneurs operate. They get an idea and they're like, okay, I'll just do it. We don't think about everything in between. So I started as a mortgage broker in 2008, about 10 minutes before the big crash. And it hit Canada too. So everybody in the industry was like, oh, this is the worst industry ever to be in. And everyone was quitting. And I'm like, I just kept blinders on. And I said, I'm just going to make this work. I had no idea what I was doing. You come out of that program not knowing anything about sales. So eventually I noticed that I had this aversion to sales somehow. So I hired this great mortgage coach, and the first question he asked me was, and I'm not even going to pretend this is mine. He's like, April, what is the first thing you think about when I say salesperson? And I went, car sales. So that was the thing. Yeah. Here I was trying to be a salesperson, and I was thinking about slimy car salesmen. So I really had to reframe that. But on top of that, what I learned was that's why I was so successful in mortgages, is because I actually learned that I was so obsessed with getting people the best deal in a mortgage that it was easy to sell after that. Once I reframed my belief about salespeople and engaged my conviction, it just all came together.
Awesome. And as an entrepreneur, unless you have a sales team, one of the first things you need to get good at is sales.
Well, not even unless. Actually, I would argue, Doug, that you need to learn sales regardless. And this is what I tell women all the time, is that if you know how to sell, you will never be poor. There's always someone looking for great salespeople all the time.
Very true. And yeah, I believe I misspoke, and thank you for correcting me, because I believe everybody, even if you're going to have a sales team work for you, you need to know what makes a good salesperson.
Yeah, you need to govern them. You need to stay on top of them. Anybody on there, which is honestly why I don't have a team, because I don't want to look after people.
Yeah. Well, April, it has been a delight having you on the show. Can you tell people where to go to find out more about you and maybe anything that you're offering right now?
Yeah, I have a couple of offerings right now. I do a mastermind for women, and I do sales training. Obviously, I do sales training because I love sales training so much. And I have a couple other things that you can take a look at on my website, April Corbett Inc. That's aprilcorbettInc.com. Which will give you all the information and a place to talk to me. And you probably should know that I don't take anyone on without having a conversation, because I want to enjoy working with the people I work with. So I talk to
Nice.
everybody personally. Mhm.
Nice. Work with only your dream clients, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Life's too short, Doug.
That's true. So that link will be in the show notes. And if you're watching this on video on YouTube or in the Entrepreneur Journey group, that link will be below this video. And if you're watching this in the group, April is in the Entrepreneur Journey group. So if you want to reach out to her within the group, hopefully she's going to hop on one of our Friday masterminds if she can one time.
I would love to.
So it'd be a great way to connect with her, and click that link if you want to find out more.
Thanks so much.
Well, any parting words for our entrepreneurs?
One thing I say all the time is the only way to fail is to quit. Don't quit. Find the resources, the support, the people, the mastermind, whatever training it is you need. It is out there, and your dreams will come true if you just don't quit. That's it.
I totally agree. Thank you. Thank you again so much, April.
Thanks for having me, Doug.
And until next time, entrepreneurs, keep blazing your trail.